absolute nightmare this entire day has been with the passengers by the thousands stranded across airports, and now the government has issued a statement saying that a high-level inquiry has been ordered. Accountability will be fixed. Passenger care is top priority. This even as, Gauri, the roster rules have been put in abeyance. So basically, the pilot rest rule, which required for 48 hours of rest, that had been mandated by the DGCA, that has been put in abeyance for now. But this inquiry, what is the time frame for this and what the findings are? Will they be made public? That's going to be key.
Absolutely, and that's really the single biggest part of it, that what went wrong, who is accountable for it, and that high-level inquiry that the government has ordered. When will that findings be made public? That's the big question. We're also going to get Vishnu Som, a colleague who's been tracking this space very closely for us, even as the government has said that flight operations will be fully restored in 3 days. So thousands of passengers across the country stranded right now. The only and most important piece of information for them is that in the next 3 days, the government has issued the statement saying that flight operations will be fully restored, even as chaos, confusion continues across all major airports in India. All eyes now on when that high-level inquiry will be instituted, who will be heading it, by when will that report be made public.
All right, Vishnu joining us live now. Give us the contours of this inquiry commission that has been set up, this inquiry that has been started now, Vishnu.
Well, this basically means that as a result of the immense pressure on the system, the government has ordered regulations which mean that flight safety appears to come second to ensuring that the system operates. The flight duty time limitation guidelines have all been taken away. They've all been held in abeyance. In other words, what the DGCA, the regulator, had ordered 2 years ago and which Indigo was unable to maintain at this stage, Indigo has ultimately won this battle. It's a battle for the safety of passengers, and at this stage the government, seeing the situation across the country with tens of thousands of passengers impacted because Indigo's network went into a crisis, has held back or put in abeyance all the measures which the DGCA, the regulator, had put in place to enhance flight safety. This, they believe, will allow the situation across the country to start normalizing by tomorrow in terms of Indigo's scheduling, and in 3 days the crisis should be over. They've also said that there's going to be a committee which looks, a high-powered panel which looks into Indigo. All that is very well, and they'll figure out what Indigo has done or not done. But if there was any initiative which was meant to enhance flight safety, and this is something here in NDTV we focused on for decades, flight safety is important. The concern is not convenience but safety. Well, it appears that convenience is a priority. Flight safety comes next.
But Vishnu, just curious, if they could not hire extra pilots in the 18 months notice that they had, how exactly is Indigo planning to get all of this fixed, the shortfall, the rest hours, with the new rules, or rather the old rules being brought back? Are they absolutely confident that that entire problem is going to be fixed within 3 days? Do the numbers add up for you?
Firstly, the new rules which were introduced, they're gone. They're held in abeyance. The government press release doesn't identify when those rules will be brought back into play. It would be very disappointing if these rules were not brought back because, as I've been mentioning, they have to do with pilot fatigue. The idea behind the new rules was to ensure that our pilots are not fatigued, to give them more rest, to give them more days off, to ensure that there are limited numbers of night operations that take place. That entire set of orders and rules by the DGCA has been put in abeyance. Now, to answer your question directly, the government believes that in 3 days, the Indigo situation will be fixed. So let's just hope that that can take place. But at the same time, the larger concern on flight safety really must remain.
And it almost seems, Gauri, like we have to choose between passenger safety and passenger convenience. So either we get to fly or we get to be safe. And I don't really think that's a very fair choice in front of the people right now. Just a quick another update. The Ministry of Civil Aviation has also said in its statement that they have established a 24/7 control room that is monitoring the situation on a real-time basis to ensure swift and corrective action, effective coordination and immediate resolution. Let's see how that happens. Gauri.
Indeed. And that is, the most important part is that these norms did not come overnight. The first time when they actually had to be implemented was last year, which was pushed ahead to this year. And then again, another date has been given. Even as viewers, what you see on your screens are images of chaos, confusion, completely passengers being left in the lurch, so to say. Kolkata, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, it's the same story across the board as 500 Indigo flights have been cancelled. And the statement that has come in from the government essentially says that it is convenience that is being prioritized over safety. And let's put out some of those defining images that are there. First and foremost, passengers at the Indira Gandhi International Airport lose their cool as they speak with an Indigo ground staff member amidst the airline's nationwide flight delays and cancellations.
Let's focus on that image for a bit. Look at these people, young and old. You've got a young man there, presumably in his 20s. Then you've got a gentleman who clearly seems to be at least 50 to 55 years old. One man suddenly takes off his T-shirt. Now one doesn't know what circumstances they are traveling in. You could have to take a connecting flight. There could be a family emergency. There could be a wedding in the family. I saw an entrepreneur talking about how he had an event in Delhi where he had spent several lakhs for the event, and now he's simply stranded. There are no alternatives available. The second defining image, a passenger, Namita, on her way to Haridwar for her father's Asthi Visarjan, stranded at Kempegowda International Airport, Indigo flights cancelled. I don't even know what to say when, suddenly Indigo puts out a statement at 1 PM saying, we care for you, we want your goodwill, we have your trust, we've earned. Here's a woman who is going to perform the final rites of her father, carrying the remains of her late father. What is a ground staff even supposed to tell her to make her feel better?
Indeed. And it's the similar situation, same story, airport after airport, family after family. Look at those long queues of passengers at the Chennai International Airport. The nationwide Indigo flight delays and cancellations announced in a manner that it was. And so many of them, they could be having travel plans. They could be having, the wedding season is in full swing. Some of them could be, there are people who actually couldn't attend their own wedding, wedding reception.
We are building world-class airports in the smallest towns with such a defunct system. How about build a good world-class system where one airline, and I have a simple question, how is it that all the other airlines are working fine? Mm-hmm. Don't they have, the rules apply equally to everyone about the 48 hours of rest.
Yes.
So they did adhere to the rules, but one airline decided not to. And they got their way. Food packets and water bottles distributed by Indigo finally for the stranded passengers at IGI Airport in Delhi.
After some of them waiting for 18 hours, 24 hours, some actually went up to 36 hours of wait, after which those food packets were actually delivered. And then you see stranded passengers, that other image, which is about stranded passengers searching for their luggage near a counter at the Kempegowda International Airport in Bengaluru after Indigo cancelled, it's 550 flights yesterday, and that number has ballooned further today. Look at that. You don't know where your belongings are. You don't know which is your luggage. And, you could be having very important, very personal things in that luggage, which may mean a lot to you.
Look at that. This beggars the imagination. What is this? The last time I saw this kind of image when there was a volcanic eruption, and because of the ash in the sky across the world, there were, hundreds of flights cancelled. That's the kind of image we got from that time. And now you see this replicated in Bengaluru at the Kempegowda Airport. A beautiful airport, modern, smashing interiors, and this is what it's been reduced to. Abhishek joins us live along with Ratandeep as well from Guwahati. Abhishek, over to you first. I think he's got some people with him, some rather startling images that he's showing us.
Maybe we could just put out those calling lines before we go to Abhishek, just to tell our viewers tuning in. Okay, those are extremely dramatic visuals that are coming in. People actually climbing on top of those counters because obviously they have no answers and they don't know what is happening. This uncertainty is what is driving several of these passengers.
Clearly a foreign passenger. And these are live images. So, mind you, this is happening a good 3 to 4 hours after Indigo is telling us that we're on it, we're fixing things. I hope the 24/7 control room is taking a look at this, because whatever that control room is doing and whatever Indigo is doing right now, it's not helping this lady for sure. Look,
Comforting any one of the passengers. Look at her.
look at the people behind the counter. Essentially, she's just sitting there with a mask on because, I mean, frankly, I feel a little bad for her. What is she supposed to do? We were told that all the passengers are being put on alternative flights, that they are being given accommodation, that they are being getting full refunds. And if that was announced about 4 hours ago, why is there this long snaking queue at the Mumbai airport even now?
And that woman being so hassled, clearly she needs to be somewhere and answers are not being given. Yes, you can say that the airport, ground staff has no answers, but at the end of the day, it is the Indigo management that has to ensure that these people have answers. Hours after that statement.
Hello.
I mean, what is this? What is this tourist going to take away from India? You could have had a perfectly amazing trip to India. A country that prides itself now of being the third largest economy, Abhishek. And then this. And this was so totally avoidable. What is happening? Why is there still this backlog? Abhishek, if you can hear me, can you please, we can put this in context. Let's get a few viewers also on board. Ravi Prakash from Hyderabad. Before I come to you, sir, Abhishek is through with us. What happened? 3 to 4 hours ago, we were told that things are going to start getting back on track. All the mechanisms have kicked in. What's actually happening at that counter, Abhishek?
In fact, a foreigner out here, she is completely agitated. No food and water has been provided. There are not sufficient crew members out here. Clearly, you can see. She is. She's completely agitated, she's telling she doesn't have any clothes to wear now. She wants some food or she wants some drinks. In fact, you can see the long queue out here. Everyone is frustrated. They want to know about the status of the flight.
We are also frustrated.
Sir, कहाँ से आए?
हम लोग रायपुर जा रहे थे तो रायपुर की अचानक फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई। अब हम 8 लोग हैं फैमिली साथ में। अब हम रात में कहाँ जाएंगे, क्या बड़ा टेंशन हो गया।
अभी स्टेटस कुछ बताया? व्हाट हैव दे टोल्ड टू यू?
गेट पे ही बता दिए फ्लाइट आपकी कैंसिल है, उससे ज्यादा कुछ बता नहीं रहे हमारे को।
ऑल्टरनेटिव अरेंजमेंट यहाँ कहीं होटल या कहीं रहने के लिए आपके जो फैमिली मेंबर्स हैं?
इंडिगो वाले कोई कांटेक्ट में नहीं आ रहे। इधर खिड़की पे बहुत आपस में झगड़ा टाइप हो रहा है। हम लोग तो गेट पे ही नहीं जा पा रहे और अभी हम रात में 8 लोग कहाँ जाएंगे, बड़ा टेंशन का विषय है।
8 family members, they don't know where will they go.
A very unresponsive ground staff not answering to what that lady wants, which is food and something to drink. Let's get in Ravi Prakash, who's calling us from Hyderabad. In fact, you're at the airport, sir?
No. I'm just telling you. In fact, 25th, I'm in Delhi, and I have faced a similar situation. Night 8 o'clock is the flight. It did not move up to 12. They said the same thing. Pilot refused to because of the certain rules, etc. They are not able to fly, etc. This is a clear arm twisting by Indigo and some mismanagement by the ministry even. In fact, 25th, I have done a tweet also, but I didn't get reply. However, by 12 o'clock, they started 4 hours that the cancellation charges and all. So they avoided, but no food, no refreshment that day also.
100%, so you hit the nail on the head. This has happened at multiple levels and this has happened over several days. So it's not like today came as a surprise and people did not know that this was bubbling under the surface. It was just waiting to erupt. The point is who let things get to this point, and you've named both of them, the airline and the regulator and the Civil Aviation Ministry. We've got Ratnadeep joining us from Guwahati as well. Ratnadeep, have things eased at all at Guwahati?
Well, the situation remains very chaotic. We have been in this airport almost for 10 hours. We have this gentleman, sir, situation बहुत chaotic है पीछे.
बहुत ज़्यादा chaotic है. नवंबर 11 को मैंने टिकट बुक कराया था. मैं यहाँ शादी में आया हूँ और ये जब यहाँ एयरपोर्ट पर पहुँचा तो पता चला कि ये जो है फ़्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई है. कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं दे रहे. एक छोटा सा काउंटर है, उस पर कोई भी ऐसा बंदा नहीं है जो सही इन्फॉर्मेशन दे सके. ये स्थिति।
So there's lack of information, lack of clarity for the passengers. You can see hundreds of passengers here. They're queued up. Remember, this airport is a very important air hub for connectivity within Northeast, as well as connectivity from Northeast to the rest of the country. You can see hundreds of passengers here. They've been here for hours together, and they just want some response in terms of how their cancellation of the flight. बहुत टाइम से आप लोग खड़े हैं, कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं मिल रहा है।
कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं।
और ये जो घंटों से खड़े हैं,
हाँ।
पीने का पानी, खाना वाना
कुछ नहीं, अरे कोई जवाब नहीं मिला, कोई जवाब ही नहीं दे रहा है, अभी कुछ नहीं बोला वो लोग। हाँ।
So there you can see Indigo completely not responding to these people. They have been here for hours together. I have been here reporting for the past almost 10 hours, and I've seen many people who have queued up here even before I reached here, and they're still in the queue. There's no response. कुछ response मिल रहा है आप लोगों को?
You know, and this contrasts this with the statement that came 2 hours ago, where Indigo said, we will ensure that all refunds for your cancellations will be processed automatically to your original mode of payment. We will offer full waiver on all cancellations. Thousands of hotel rooms across cities and surface transport have been arranged for the convenience of our customers. We are trying to ensure food and snacks are being provided. Lounge access is being arranged for senior citizens. Look at all of these people.
People don't have water.
Do they look like they have lounge access? Do they look like they are being taken to comfortable rooms, which are apparently there in the thousands across all the different cities? Let's check that with Shreya as well. Shreya joining us live from Delhi. Are things any better? Is the control room providing any succor to people, Shreya?
Well, absolutely not. The visuals that we're getting here at Delhi Airport's Terminal 1, people are stranded and they're literally sitting here outside the airport Terminal 1. We do not see them getting any lounge access as such. Although the authorities have said that, you know, they will be getting their refund amounts. They have the Indigo Airlines, they have issued an apology. But still, we do not see any facilities, any, additional facilities being given to the passengers who have been stranded since morning. You can see there's a sense of acceptance at this point, although since morning we saw there was public rage boiling over because a lot of people had their medical emergency which they had to sort of cancel over because this is the 4th day since there has been thousands of cancellations. And why? Because of the pilot shortage. And at this point in time we are getting information that the aviation regulator DGCA has asked their own inspectors who are not really allowed to fly commercial flights. They are qualified as pilots, but they have been directed to take over the Indigo airline because there is a severe shortage of pilots. Sir, आप बताइए कितने टाइम से आप वेट कर रहे हैं, क्या इन्फॉर्मेशन आया इंडिगो से?
हम मैडम 10:45 को यहाँ पे आए थे, 1:45 को हमारा बेंगलुरु।
That's how acute the shortage is that the DGCA is filling in with its own staff to ensure that it tides over the shortage, but there is no explanation as to why it actually reached this level. Shreya, I'm going to come back to you, but I want to go to Abhishek, who is speaking to that very distressed, very hassled foreigner who is standing at the airport trying to get answers. There aren't any. Abhishek?
Yes, you can. भाई एक मिनट थोड़ा साइड।
She needs a baggage now, but she needs to talk to them itself. But she is not. So from my side, I have done everything.
So how much time it will get to give her the baggage, the luggage?
They will let you know, ma'am.
आप अपनी जगह मैडम एकदम सही हो, लेकिन उनको बोलो कि 10 काउंटर लगाए, पब्लिक इतनी है।
Give her some.
पब्लिक के लिए भी थोड़ा सोचो, और आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते, आपके ऊपर वालों को बोलो, गलती उनका, आपका कोई गलती नहीं है।
Give her any time, estimated time. At what time?
From my side, I have said you, ma'am. This thing is that we will refund your amount. We will refund your luggage. I mean, like we will. Sorry, 1 minute.
Moi, je sais pas parler anglais. Je comprends tout doucement.
She can't understand English.
This is French.
She understands only French.
Yes.
Madame, le problème, c'est ici. Dernier billet.
अब उधर
मैडम जाके इंडिगो को बोलिए, मैडम पब्लिक को नहीं रोको, आप इंडिगो को बोलो कि आप करो, ये क्या कर रखा है, पब्लिक को मत रोको, पब्लिक परेशान है 24 घंटे से, 48 आवर्स से।
Les problèmes, tout le monde il connaît, c'est leur faute. C'est leur faute.
He somehow
Let's listen to what Abhishek is saying, please. All right, so basically that was at the Mumbai airport, and that lady who is French-speaking, there was another lady from the CISF, I think she is an officer of the CISF, both of them trying to get some details out of the ground staff of Indigo about whether there is any further communication, about any details of...
And interestingly, Padmaja, she's just, repeating what the Indigo statement is. She just said that verbatim. We heard some of that, where the ground staff just repeated what the statement is. Let's listen in to the angst of this stranded passenger.
It's a particular tourist, quite apparently so. She is from a French-speaking country. She doesn't have any knowledge of English. Now imagine being by yourself, being in a country, a foreign soil. You do not know how to communicate in their language. You do not have knowledge of English, and she is simply there. There is no information that she is getting. Completely distressed. There she is at the Mumbai airport. Another viewer, in fact, Muhammad Imran, joining us on the phone line from Hyderabad. Imran, did you also have a bad experience with Indigo? What happened?
What happened is that they simply accepted the booking yesterday. If they faced the issue earlier, why they accept the booking yesterday? And they bring us me from the international, and I'm waiting since morning in Hyderabad airport. They keep saying we are arranging, nothing arranging. I'm not the one facing problem. Lot of people are facing here that same issue. They're just arranging, and where our luggage, where we are, no one, ground staff keeps saying, no, all flight is cancelled. We don't have any flight, your domestic route.
Wait a second, you're saying that you're still at the airport.
Point. And he said that he booked a flight yesterday. Mr. Imran, are you saying that you booked a flight even yesterday? They were taking bookings after that massive cancellations?
Yes.
And since morning, have you been told anything about a hotel, about another flight, anything at all?
No.
You're still at the airport, and it's like, it's 5:30. Since what time have you been there?
9.
From 9 to 5:30, which is 8.5 hours. You would have possibly reached your destination thrice over in that time.
Even affected my forward schedule, everything.
But look at, Mr. Imran, you've raised an extremely valid and important point, which is that if 550 flights were cancelled yesterday, why were fresh bookings being taken? There is no logic for it, and this is absolutely unjustified. If yesterday Indigo knew the crisis at hand, it had no business taking fresh bookings. And I'm sure there must be so many other passengers like Mr. Imran who's now, of course, stranded.
And the reason why we're taking all of these voices on air, I'm really sorry, sir, that you had to undergo this. I sincerely hope that somebody is listening. Mohammad Imran is still at the Hyderabad airport. He has a valid booking taken yesterday by Indigo. 8.5 hours he has been there. I hope you get full refund and some redressal. Mohan from Mumbai also with us on the phone line. Yes, sir. What did you endure?
My wife and my son were to travel to Ranchi today. And luckily, I must say, I thank my stars that we got an email from the travel agent that the onward bookings were cancelled. Flights were cancelled. Now, we have a return flight. We have no clue about what's going to happen on the return flight. We have bookings in Ranchi. All the money is paid. Who's going to take responsibility for this? Is it going to be Indigo?
Has any
and
communication
what is Indigo doing? 1 minute, madam. What is Indigo doing now? They are trying to hold the government and the authorities to ransom and forcing the authorities to flout the security norms for all citizens. Is that fair?
No, it's not. The answer to that is a very simple no, it's not. And that is the bigger outrage, that at a time when we are going to see fog, you essentially are saying that you are going to compromise on how well rested your pilots are, which in turn is going to be compromising passenger safety. But that's where we are. And these norms haven't just been relaxed for Indigo, by the way. It applies across the board.
Yeah.
To all airlines who were functioning safely.
Padmaja, I would really like to see how well this is implemented, whether Indigo is put on the dock by the government.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be implemented. There should be heavy penalties. There should be accountability from this airline. They shouldn't think that they are able to simply get away by holding us and through us, the government and regulator, to ransom. Mr. Sitaram, also from Hyderabad. Lot of calls coming in from Hyderabad, Gauri.
Yeah, indeed. And let's listen into what Mr. Sitaraman's plight is. Sir, where are you? Are you at the airport? Did you manage to get any?
I have to go to Goa. All the flights have been disrupted. I had come from Varanasi yesterday. The flight from Varanasi got delayed by about 2.5 hours. The flight rates have been atrocious. There is no control. There is no mechanism. There is no rate ceiling. Nothing.
Have you got full refund? Has Indigo refunded you for your
nothing at all. Absolutely nothing. No clue.
No, see, this is how you cut through the lies, Gauri. Because 2 hours ago, Indigo said in a statement, we are going to initiate full refund to your account. And here we have a passenger confirming on record that no such thing has happened. Were you at the airport? Were you given any information at the airport about alternative flight? All right, he seems to have disconnected the flight.
But this is exactly why this show, this broadcast is so important, because we want to, of course, speak to our viewers, get their voices right here on this broadcast, and also tell exactly the harrowing tales faced by thousands and thousands of passengers across the board. Padmaja, we had someone who said that I booked a flight as late as yesterday. Indigo took those bookings. We had a passenger who's completely stranded, doesn't know the language also, French speaking. We have
no assistance.
No assistance whatsoever. Then we have passengers, who are stuck with no intimation whatsoever, and no details about whether there will be any accommodation or not. And this is the situation.
And no refund.
No refund.
No refund. So 4 lies already caught out. 1, we were told immediate ground assistance is being given. No, it's not. I'm sorry. That's a lie. Second, that we are initiating full refund. No, people have called in to say they haven't got their refunds. No information about a refund. 3, that our staff is going to be out there to assist everyone who is stranded. No, the staff who is there, and you saw that in the case of Mumbai, they're clueless. Yes. They don't know what to promise. They don't know whether they're even authorized to make any promises. And 4, which is the biggest outrage of it all, when you knew that there were already a crisis, you were bang in the middle of, why were you accepting additional bookings?
Indeed.
You are layering another layer of crisis on top of an already messy situation that you have.
Simply because I think Indigo felt that they could get out of it. And frankly, till now, they have been able to. They've been able to ensure that this, the grace period that they have, ensures that the entire festive period, fog period, huge holiday period, all of that passes, and that is when they decide what next. I believe there's another caller who's with us.
Tirumani from Chennai.
From Chennai. Yes, sir.
Hi there. Good afternoon to all of you. My name is Tirumani. I'm calling from Chennai. I just returned from Chennai airport. A month back, we all planned a trip to Somnath and Dwarka. And today I'm supposed to fly from Chennai to Ahmedabad around 11 o'clock. See, there are some problems will be in any airline, understand. But the issue I'm making very clear to all is the communication is totally collapsed. When I checked in, when I saw here, I booked my ticket to make my trip. I saw the flight is changed to evening 6 o'clock. I kept quiet. Then I called the customer service of Indigo to check the timing. They said, sir, it's on time, you have to go. Then I checked up the website of Indigo, put in the flight status, showing exactly time, 11:50. So I didn't want to take a chance. I went to the airport last minute, and they were accepting the bag and everything. I specifically asked at the check-in counter, is the flight delayed or not? If it's 6:30, I'll go and come back. They said, no, sir, flight is on time. Put the bag now, we are going to close the counter. Surprised. I checked in, went inside. Then in the inside the signage display, I found the timing mentioned as 6:30. Then I went to check, is it 6:30 or no? Nobody could say anything, and there's no announcement even. At the gate 103B, 100 people gathered, entire team of Ahmedabad travelers, and no one to say, sir, the flight is delayed, go and say it. Nothing. Complete chaos. This is what the issue really paranoid us. I'm a 66-year-old senior person. There are hundreds of wheelchair passengers. And nobody made a statement, sir, the flight is delayed, cancelled, or go and sit, we'll make an announcement. Nothing. That really annoyed us. And the same thing happened for my friends who are coming from Dubai. They're supposed to leave morning 5 o'clock, just now they are leaving. This is not acceptable for any Indian standard in the 21st century.
That is just ridiculous, you know, and like every single viewer, every single passenger has been saying, they can really see through this entire reassurances that are being given by the airline that you basically are taking passengers for a ride because you can. And you think you can get away with it. I'm really sorry, Mr. Tirumeni, you and your family and your friends, presumably all of you senior citizens, had to go through this, and that too at a time when you were headed to Somnath Dwarka. It would have been a beautiful trip otherwise. What a bad taste it leaves in your mouth, Gauri, because the crisis can be explained simply as one that stems from a sense of impunity.
Indeed, and that's exactly what it is. And these are guidelines that the entire industry had a very long time to be able to implement. It is not something that happened overnight. Now let's understand what the old rules were and what the new rules have been changed, and what the Indigo airline had to implement, and it hasn't done so. Most importantly, earlier it was that the weekly rest was 36 hours, and that has been increased to 48 hours. So from 36, it has gone up to 48 hours, which means that pilots, the entire cabin crew needs to have 2 days of rest to be able to then be back on the next flight. That's the first important change that has been made. Next up is the night duty definition. This is important. It was earlier, it was 12 to 5. That has gone up by an hour to 12 to 6. Now, why this is extremely important is because the night landings and the night duty is something that is done maximum by Indigo because it has that period which it covers the most. And that's why this impacts Indigo the most in the entire industry. Let's now get you the night landings, which were the maximum flight duty period, night ops, was 13 hours, which has now been reduced to 10 hours. As I said, the carrier that operates the maximum flights in the night is Indigo, and therefore this is something that is going to impact this Indigo the most, and it must and should have planned for it, but it didn't. Last is the maximum night landings, which has now, it was up to 6, and that has gone to only 2. Again, Indigo operates the maximum amount of night landings. This impacts the carrier the most. It should have planned for this. It didn't, which is why suddenly the entire pilot roster looked completely different. They hadn't budgeted for that much staff, which they should have. They were mandated to do so. They didn't, and which is why the crisis ballooned to what it did. Lastly, let's also put out the last part, which is the fatigue risk management, which was not mandatory, and that has become mandatory. This is important because unless your cabin crew is well rested, unless your cabin crew doesn't have any fatigue factor, there will always be concerns with regard to safety. And that's what DGCA norms were meant to ensure, safety above everything else. Guess what? That isn't the case anymore.
It's important to remember that all of these new rules that Gauri told you about, let's stay with those graphics, please. All of these new rules that Gauri told you about, they now have been put in abeyance. So all the old rules have been reverted to, which basically means, is your cabin crew going to be well rested? Is your flying crew going to be well rested? Not as much as would have been the case in case the new rules would still be in power, would be still being used right now, in effect right now. And more news coming in fact, the DGCA has slammed Indigo. DGCA saying that deficiencies in internal oversight was there. There were deficiencies in ops preparedness. There were deficiencies in compliance planning, and an independent probe is needed. That's the latest that we are getting. There were several deficiencies that now the DGCA is pointing out, and this happens at multiple levels: in preparedness, in compliance planning, in internal oversight. And if all of this was happening, it also begs the question, was the regulator unaware of all of this?
And Padmaja, the fact is that why is it that it has taken so long and so much of chaos, thousands of passengers, so many harrowing tales for the DGCA to finally say that there were deficiencies as far as the operational preparedness is concerned. If there were timelines in place, 18 months was given, of course there would have been some reviews. Internal reviews would have happened or should have happened. And that is when DGCA, the authorities, the airline, all of them would have realized that we are not operationally prepared to meet the timeline. But it took so many harrowing tales for the system to wake up.
So let me quickly read out from this order now, where the DGCA has said the revised provision on duty period, flight time limitations and prescribed rest periods for flight crew engaged in scheduled air transport operations were issued in 2024. Same was to finally become effective after disposal of court case by High Court. DGCA has issued repeated directions and advance instructions from time to time to Indigo for having timely preparation to implement the provisions of the aforesaid CAR. However, observing the airline's inability, and let me bring Tanushka in on this, the airline's inability to accurately forecast crew availability, conduct timely training and realign rosters despite advance regulatory intimation resulted in cascading delays. Which begs the question, like we were discussing, when the DGCA found out, Tanushka, that they weren't adhering to all of these changes that had been sought, were they given any notice to say why not? Were they given any show cause notice? Were they put on notice? Were they pulled up?
Precisely, these are these questions that are coming up now. The DGCA is saying that they had issued repeated warnings to Indigo, but the airline could not forecast crew availability or align rosters. It means DGCA did, rake up the issue with Indigo when it started spotting that there are issues with respect to its management and implementation of the new FDTL norms. And now we are in this scenario wherein there is just downpour of cancellations across the country and passengers are stranded across board. And at this point, all sort of these committees are being formed, reports are being sought after from Indigo as to how is it that Indigo is the only airline facing such massive issues because of the FDTL norms. DGCA says that they formed this 4-member committee to probe this flight disruption, and the committee is to submit this report to DGCA within 15 days and examine the causes of disruption, manpower planning, rostering issues, and compliance with the new FDTL rules. The committee is also to assess Indigo's accountability for planning failures and review mitigation measures taken by Indigo, if any, that is. And the committee is also to check whether airline is taking sufficient steps to restore operations as well. We do know that Indigo came out with, such a sorry message of an apology earlier in the day, saying that they care for their passengers, which at this point is quite as much of a joke.
All right. But Tanushka, thanks much for bringing us up to speed with that very important update. But before I get in some of those ground reports that have been filed by our colleagues across India, Padmaja, this is extremely important. The DGCA issued repeated directions, advance instructions, so which means there were audits that were happening, repeated directions were being given. Despite that, you saw the complete chaos that happened yesterday and today. So the authorities didn't know.
A meeting was held. So this this order also says that it resulted in cascading delays and cancellations across its network beginning late November 2025, leading to non-adherence of the directions. A review meeting of the airline was convened wherein the airline acknowledged that it has failed to anticipate the actual crew requirement under the revised norms. Yes. Apparently, all other airlines could anticipate how many more boots on the ground they would need, but Indigo singularly could not. And as a result, something that we saw beginning in November has now reached such a point. And what was the outcome? Watch this report.
Indigo is not giving any response. Indigo से कोई response नहीं मिल रहा है.
कोई भी response नहीं दे रहा है यार. बहुत का time हो गया.
Nobody is giving response. We are stuck up. See, alternative flights we searched in the online. It is showing 25, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Bangalore जाना है हमको.
And rascals, they are not calling their senior management.
So we want.
They are not even responding. मेरे को दिल्ली जाना है. मैं अकेले यहाँ आई हूँ. मैं अकेले यहाँ परेशान हो रही हूँ. मेरा बेटा वहाँ दिल्ली में मेरा वेट कर रहा है. ये लोग सुन तक नहीं रहे हैं.
There are 6 flights out of every 10 flights that fly out of India. Where are counters? Where is the counter? How is the government even allowing Indigo to operate just one counter? How is it allowing?
Hello, we want alternative flights to be arranged ASAP. Also, try to penalize those people who are doing such a act, because now if I want to book one more alternative flight, 50-60,000.
DGCA आज इन्होंने कहा है कि हम ये जो
they're going to slash it out to some hours.
Exactly. Now my question is कि what will be the compensation that we guys are gonna get?
You're expecting from?
Yeah. They are giving us the refund. What about the compensation? I have a business meeting tomorrow. How will they compensate?
Supposed to fly?
Indigo. The guys, they are pathetic. And the DGCA, sir, you should start working.
How many hours delayed you have to face here?
There's no delay. It's cancellation. In the morning, I got a WhatsApp message that your flight is ready. You're ready to fly. Come on, Manik, and blah, blah, blah. And today they are telling me that no, the flight is cancelled. I have to plan leaves. I have to do something, as a person, as a human being. There are so many things that is going on. And now what DGCA is doing is just pathetic.
अपना नाम बताओ और बताओ कब से अटके हुए हो?
यहाँ पे सुबह 6 बजे के यहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं। 7 हमने कुछ भी दिखाया, हमने कुछ भी दिखाया। यहाँ पे रिफ्रेशमेंट मिली, वो भी कुछ नहीं था। और यहाँ पे वेट कर रहे हैं।
कितने देर से अटके हुए हो?
फ्लाइट भी उन्होंने 9 या 8 hours से हम।
So kids here are stuck for 9 or 8 hours और आप हॉकी लेके आप सब बैठे हुए हो। क्या चीज़ के लिए जा रहे थे?
हमने नेशनल जाना था, आंध्र प्रदेश में विशाखापट्टनम। हमने यहाँ से लेके विजयवाड़ा तक की फ्लाइट फिक्स की थी, लेकिन यहाँ से इंडिगो फ्लाइट कैंसिल होगी और हम जा नहीं पा रहे। हम तब से लड़ रहे हैं।
There is no update. We are just leaving on what we are experiencing. We were just told that they are not flying today.
So you got your boarding passes and all, I can see.
Yes, we are here since 7:30 in the morning.
7:30.
Yes.
And where were you flying to?
Ayodhya.
So any alternate travel plans that you've made?
No, I was supposed to go to Varanasi from there, and my entire family, we are a family of 20 from different destinations. Everyone. The whole plan is cancelled. I've lost my return flight fare. I've lost my hotel booking. They are not going to give me any refund.
3 दिनों से जो है वो 400 के ऊपर फ़्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई। आज पूरे दिन भर में जो है वो 100 से ज़्यादा फ़्लाइट जो है वो कैंसिल हो गई है और केंद्र सरकार की तरफ से और एविएशन मिनिस्ट्री की तरफ से कोई लोगों को क्लैरिटी नहीं मिल रही है। सबसे दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात है कि मैं अभी लाइन में खड़ी थी पूछने के लिए कि लोगों को रिफ़ंड कब मिलेगा, तो उन्होंने कहा कि 14 दिन के बाद रिफ़ंड मिलेगा। तो मुझे बताइए जो ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं वो रहेंगे कहाँ? अगर उनको रिफ़ंड नहीं मिलेगा तो नया टिकट खरीद कैसे कर पाएंगे? और आज सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम क्या हो गई है कि आज अगर दूसरी एयरलाइंस का टिकट लेना चाहते हैं तो वो कितना महंगा हो गया, बहुत डबल से ट्रिपल हो गया। मतलब अगर दिल्ली से मुंबई आप आ रहे हो तो 48,000 का टिकट मिल रहा है, तो आदमी कब खरीदेगा, कैसे खरीदेगा? और उसको रिफंड का पैसा भी नहीं मिल रहा है।
My flight was for today 5 PM. Yesterday when I web check-in, then I saw the flight was for 6th. It got postponed. Then I called them at night. I asked them to give me a flight for today itself. Now at that counter they are saying a flight is cancelled. And